Hello guys. Welcome to Diablo the Primordial. This video is the continuation video after Albert vs Grassword. So if you have not watched it, then please watch it. The link is in the description. And please check out my second channel Top Anime Sensei for the light novel of Tensura. So without any further delay, let's start. But before we start, please like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates. That was because if it was equipment of legend class or below, it would have shattered from receiving the first attack, due to Grassword's abilities magic immunity and weapon destruction. Normal equipment would be destroyed the moment they made contact, armor would also be destroyed, and his opponent would then have to receive his killer attacks, naked. That was knowledge that was known to only Dagura and his brothers at that moment, and Albert being the only one able to put up a proper fight against him was a coincidence that was nothing short of a miracle. But it was ironic that nobody knew the fact that this coincidence has been narrowly preventing the collapse of the front lines, if you can call it irony, that is. Though the threat was there, as there was someone who was able to stand against and hold back the threat, the danger the threat posed was not noticed by the others. However, all that was irrelevant to the two persons in question. Such things were the least of their worries, as they duked it out ever more intensely. Our old man ain't making his move. Should we move in the face him, if he actually shows movement? Don't be getting excited just yet. It's obvious, but I'll be the one to face him. You boys lead the Terror Knights and prevent any potential interruptions. Roger that. But it's better to not underestimate our old man. Though Nei-san might be pretty powerful, our old man's a real monster. Xian and Ko had such exchanges, while they turned their attention to the main enemy encampment. There were no signs of movement, but that instead gave off an extremely ominous atmosphere. It felt dangerous to make the first move, as there is no movement from the main enemy encampment. It still didn't feel like the proper opportunity to move her elite forces yet, but the present situation isn't going to change from them just staring at it. The frustration was starting to set in on Xian. Should I just go with an all-out attack? Right as Xian was contemplating such thoughts, suddenly, a change to the situation occurred. The change was as intense as it was sudden. That's. Hearing Riera's muttering, Xian, who was looking at Albert and Grassword's battle, diverted her attention. A certain individual was walking out from de Gruwel's main encampment. Wrapped in layer upon layer of chains, was a man who looks like he lost too much weight. At a height of 2.5 meters, he was of a smaller frame than what you would expect of the giants. But, despite being chained all over, the intense presence coming from him drew more attention than any other giant could. Their natural instincts were appealing desperately, at how dangerous that man is. Is that our uncle that has been sealed for the longest time? So that's feared and known as the war god, the rampaging Kishin. Uncle Fen. Phew, I'm getting hungry. Without saying anything, another corkscrew punch made its way to Dabura's gut. And you had your fill with that? Next time you say something as irrelevant as that, don't think you're gonna survive. Xian angrily said her piece. But the tension was broken thanks to Dabura's dumb interjection. They began observing that individual, now that they have calmed down. The chains were writhing and pulsing. There was a smile on the man's face, even though he looked like he was heavily restricted by the weird chains. The kind of smile that showed just how elated a person is. A simple probe showed that his predicted energy levels surpassed de Gruwel. Xian was surprised. Though there were many beings that had high energy levels among her comrades, this made them look like children in comparison. This, to Xian's knowledge, was at the highest level. It was at the class of the true dragons. He was comparable to Veldora or Velgrind. No shit. That guy is one heck of a beast. Isn't it pretty much impossible for you boys to face that? Xian exclaimed. It was unexpected that there would be another monster of this level besides de Gruwel. She thought it was excessive to have two members of the 12 Guardians here. As Demon Lord Ruminez was also here. No matter how big Demon Lord de Gruwel was, it shouldn't be too difficult to handle, as there was 3 awakened Demon Lord class beings here, were her thoughts. But having reached this point, she recognizes how naive that thought was. She has also noticed that it was just really good luck that Albert is able to keep the second in command in check all by himself. This is way nastier than what was expected. So that is our other uncle, Fen, huh? You don't say. A monster of that level was unexpected, even for me. Uncle Grassword was bad enough already, Uncle Fen is on a whole other level. Phew. That skinny bones, I'ma bet I can beat him easily if it's weight we're talking about. Maybe I should really kill this fatso." As Xian was thinking that, something happened to the chained man. The chains were being released. Those chains, is that Gleipnir? If that's the case, this would be pretty dangerous, yes? Gadra Rushi, who has been standing by behind them, spoke up to Xian. As he has used all his energy earlier, Gadra Rushi has been resting after the end of their meeting, but has woken up from noticing the changes in the battlefield's atmosphere. "Oh, it's Gadra, huh? So, what's that Gleipnir?" "Right. This is something that has only been passed down in ancient texts. It is said that during the Age of Gods, the Dragon Emperor sealed an evil god. 2 of the 3 brothers turned over a new leaf, but as the remaining sibling chose to retain his brutal nature, he was sealed with the chains of God. Gleipnir are the names of the chains of God. Chains that sealed an evil god who emitted immense amounts of energy. If the legends are true, the chains will have been absorbing the energy emitted from the evil god, and have evolved. During that time period, these chains were said to be the possession of the Dragon Emperor, and was able to seal both divine and demonic beings. In the current era, it wouldn't be surprising if it had properties on par with god-class artifacts. But, what was truly terrifying, was not the chains. The evil god which was sealed by those very chains, was what they needed to be wary of. Do you think the stories are true? I'm afraid so. My advice for the best course of action, would be to retreat. Xian frowned, at Gadra's submissive view. But, it wasn't out of anger. For someone as aged and knowledgeable as Gadra, there was a certain weight for him to give such advice to Xian, whom he is fully aware of her aggressive nature. That was a warning, coming from someone who knows how capable the 12 Guardians are. We will not retreat. We have been given orders from Rimuru-sama to defend these lands. To retreat would be to go against Rimuru-sama's will. As of now, as Rimuru-sama is concealing himself, that means we have been given the reins on how we intend to end this great war. But that will only happen after we manage the problem that we have here at this location. We have our orders, and we shall not fail to execute them. This represents our faith in Rimuru-sama, and also serves to prove that Rimuru-sama's strategies are the proper answer. Any objections? There are none. Alright. That's right, retreat was out of the question. To them, retreating would be the same as saying Rimuru's strategy was mistaken, as he was the one who judged that Xian and Co. would be able to successfully defend this land. Such thoughts will never be acknowledged, on the off chance that defeat actually occurs. That defeat, too, would have been accepted as orders from Rimuru. Having received Xian's intents the disposition of Xian's elite guard changed. The elite guard standing by at the outer peripheral walls overheard the conversation between Gadra and Xian. If a conversation isn't conducted privately, the contents are usually transmitted to the vicinity. The elite guard made their preparations, having received Xian's will. Meanwhile, Fen makes his move. He traverses the battlefield at incredible speeds, moving as though he was the wind itself. And finishes his sprint by launching an offensive against Adelman, who was at the rear lines supporting his allies with magic. Adelman, who was supposed to be protected by many layers of magic barriers, was knocked onto the ground in a single blow. Fen grasps the initiative of their battle in an instant. The battlefield was visited by a terrifying silence. Impossible. What speed, no power. Adelman constantly protects himself with a myriad of magic barriers, how did he? Xian shouted. Such bewildering power. Adelman was brought to the ground, from an attack that was simply a punch brimming with fighting spirit, without the use of any abilities. Though Death Dragon Wenti immediately went to Adelman's aid, she too was sent flying from a simple aura bullet released from Fen's palm. After seeing this unreal combat power, Xian wasn't even trying to hide her surprise. Adelman looks like a rear support type, so it is assumed that he isn't suited to close-quarters battles. Even if that was the case, he still is one of the 12 Guardians. Evasion via teleporting should have been possible after using high-speed cognition. As he wasn't able to do that, the chances of the opponent having some kind of cognition obstruction effect or ability are now very high. What an enemy, I need to head to his aid soon. Just as Xian was thinking about that, Fumu, to still spectating, in front of me. That's some composure you got there, Xian hears a voice behind her. This is Xian's main camp, so having multiple defensive barriers in place is a no-brainer. It is possible to ignore all of those barriers, and in addition, to be able to stand behind Xian without her even realizing it? There's no way that's possible. As Xian thought, and she turns around. There stood a towering giant. Standing right on the peripheral wall, right behind Xian. With his sturdy 3 meters tall build, it was Demon Lord de Gruel. She had met him once during Walpurgis, but the king's haki he is exuding now was incomparable to when she met him in the past. When did you? Fumu, I have arrived here, just moments earlier. Could it be that you didn't see me arrive? If that's the case, this won't even be a fight. It's starting to feel like a joke trying to take this seriously. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. And if you guys have not watched my earlier videos, then please watch them. The links are in the description. And please check out my other channel Top Anime Sensei for the light novel of Tensura. And don't forget to like, subscribe and press the bell icon so you don't miss the updates.